So, on April 1st, 2006, a medical student walked into a bar in Columbus, Ohio. Security cameras captured him entering through the front door at 1:55 a.m. But here's what makes this case impossible to solve. Those same cameras never showed him leaving. Brian Shaffer vanished into thin air, and 20 years later, no one knows how. Brian Shaffer was living the American dream. At 27 years old, he was a second-year medical student at Ohio State University, engaged to his longtime girlfriend, Alexis, and planning a vacation to Miami for spring break. But beneath the surface, Brian was struggling. Just 1 month before his disappearance, his mother had died from cancer. Friends said he was coping, but the loss had shaken him deeply. On the night of March 31st, 2006, Brian decided to blow off some steam. He met up with his friend William Clint Florence for a night of bar hopping in Columbus's Arena District. It was the start of spring break, and Brian seemed excited about the trip to Miami he had planned with Alexis. By all accounts, it was supposed to be just another night out. It would be anything but. Brian and Clint started their night at several bars before ending up at the Ugly Tuna Saloona, a bar located on the second floor of a building near campus. Security footage shows Brian entering the bar at 1:55 a.m. He's wearing a white polo shirt, jeans, and a baseball cap, chatting casually on his cell phone as he walks through the door. Inside the bar, witnesses saw Brian drinking and talking with Clint and another friend, Meredith Reed. At one point, Brian was seen talking to two young women near the bar. He appeared happy, relaxed, maybe a little drunk, but nothing seemed off. Around 2 a.m., Brian apparently told Clint he was going to talk to the two women and would be right back. That was the last time anyone saw Brian Shaffer. When the bar closed and Clint couldn't find Brian, he assumed his friend had left early or gone home with someone. It wasn't until Alexis called Clint the next day asking where Brian was that anyone realized something was wrong. Brian had missed his flight to Miami. He never came home. He never called. He simply vanished. Here's where this case becomes truly bizarre. Police immediately pulled security footage from the Ugly Tuna Saloona. The bar had cameras covering the main entrance, which was also the only public exit. Investigators reviewed every second of footage from that night. They saw Brian enter at 1:55 a.m., but they never saw him leave. The police checked every possible exit. There was a back door, but it was locked from the inside and led to a construction area that required climbing over barriers to escape. There was no evidence Brian went that way. The only other exit led to a service corridor that required going through a locked door that only staff had access to. Even if Brian somehow got through, he would have had to pass more cameras. He didn't. Investigators searched everywhere. They used cadaver dogs throughout the building. They interviewed over 60 people who were at the bar that night. They pulled Brian's phone records, his bank records, his computer. Nothing. No activity after that night. His cell phone never pinged another tower. His bank accounts were never touched. His car remained parked where he left it. The working theories ranged from the logical to the bizarre. Did Brian suffer some kind of accident or medical emergency and somehow end up in a place no one thought to look? Did he meet with foul play inside the bar and his body was removed by someone with access to service areas? Or did Brian, grieving his mother and possibly overwhelmed by his upcoming wedding and medical school, deliberately vanish and start a new life? Alexis, his fiancée, refused to give up hope. She appeared on multiple news programs begging for information. Brian's father, Randy, a doctor himself, became obsessed with finding his son. He searched for years, following every lead, no matter how small. Tragically, Randy died in 2008, never knowing what happened to Brian. In 2020, detectives announced they were taking another look at the case with fresh eyes and new technology. They've remained tight-lipped about any findings. Brian's friend Clint, who was with him that night, became a lawyer and has refused to take a polygraph test at the advice of his attorney, which has raised some eyebrows, though he's never been named a suspect. To this day, no trace of Brian Shaffer has ever been found. No body, no confirmed sightings, no evidence of what happened after 2 a.m. on April 1st, 2006. Brian Shaffer walked into a bar and never walked out. 20 years later, the question remains, how do you disappear from a building with only one exit, caught on camera going in but never coming out? If you have any information about Brian Shaffer's disappearance, Columbus police are still accepting tips. What do you think happened? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more unsolved mysteries.